What's up YouTube, it's your old school expert, and today I've got my very last collection set to show to you guys. This is going to be the TP1 through TP8 and McDonald's pack promos. So it's kind of like the promo binder. It doesn't include video game promos because I've never been real big on collecting those. I mean, I have a few, but I don't know, I don't really display them. So for those of you who watched to the end of the Ancient Sanctuary video, you know that there was one more video left, and this is it. It is the TP and MP packs. So starting off with TP1, they're just all in chronological order, except MP is at the end. And TP1 is probably my favorite tournament pack because every card in this set was an original at the time. There were no reprints. And I thought that was just fantastic. And I love bad vanilla monsters. And all the Axe Raider wasn't a terrible monster at that point. It wasn't necessarily used. But most of the other vanilla monsters, other than Mechanical Chaser, were awful. You guys know Mechanical Chaser was the premier 4-star attacker until Gemini Elf came out. But this was such a rare card that they were, I think, around $200 when this was an actual usable card. So just because of how rare it was. But I just love all the really like pretty much bad, terrible cards to duel with. Like Elf's Light. I love the artwork on these cards. The Blue Medicine, the Steel Shell. This always reminded me of the N64 Mario game, Mario Kart game. The blue shell that would hit the player who was in first. The Blue Medicine, it just looks cool. I just love the way it looks. And then it's simple. All these cards are just simple looking. Even the effect monsters aren't very good. These were okay at the time. These guys could be used as substitutes for a fusion monster when you're using polymerization. Tiger Axe is pretty cool because that was from the anime. Bean Soldier always looked kind of funny. Shining Friendship, another cool card. Winged Dragon, Guardian of Fortress number 2. Probably the most expensive common out of this set. And then just a few more for TP1. Got the Cyber Raider, Cockroach Knight, and Kawagata Alpha. And then moving on to TP2. Now TP2 was short printed from what we understand, which kind of explains why Morphing Jar has always been so expensive. Now Morphing Jar, of course, was a very usable card. Between the time it was released all the way through now, basically, it's still a very useful card. Was one of the essential cards in GOAT format, and so this set it didn't have a long print run, and as a result, it is considered short printed. It's difficult to find, and a lot of the cards in here can be pretty expensive. So I do really enjoy the supers out of here. Especially Call the Grave and Exile the Wicked, and that's because I actually pulled both of these, so I have very fond memories of those, and of course I did pull a Morphing Jar as well. Obviously I had the best luck, and I played probably the most tournaments, like week after week after week during this era. I wasn't that great yet. I still was learning and getting better, but I played all the time because I had a lot of time, so I was constantly getting the TP2 packs, and then the time that I pulled the Morphing Jar was just nuts. I mean, everybody in the locals, more than 50 people at the time, were just going wild because nobody had seen anybody pull it yet. And then the rares are very cool. Love the Warrior of Tradition and the beautiful Headhuntress. Just so awesome. That Revival of Dokuro Rider to special summon your Dokuro Rider. It has some pretty good commons too. We got Garuzi's, a favorite of Joey Wheeler. And just, you know, Two-Headed King Rex. Just some cool stuff from the anime, and then just random, not very good cards, but they're just too cool, man, too cool. Parrot Dragon, that was always a sought-after common from this set. And then moving on to TP3, this is when they changed the format for a little bit, where they started introducing a lot of reprinted cards, which was both good and bad. Some of the reprints were a little bit necessary for cards that were hard to get, like Mechanical Chaser. I understand why they wanted to reprint that, but by this time, Gemini Elf was already out, and Mechanical Chaser was pretty obsolete. So Needleworm, definitely the premier card in this set. I remember being in school and at the computer lab, and I got on eBay and I wanted to check what the newest TP card was going for. And so I typed in like Yu-Gi-Oh! TP3 or something like this. I couldn't even remember which card it was. And I remember looking at these needleworms and they were about 60 bucks. And I was thinking, man, that's so expensive. For a card I couldn't really use, it wouldn't do much for you unless you're running a deck out deck, which back then wasn't a very good strategy. So it was never like an extremely playable card until later on. But yeah, they reprinted like Beast Skull Dragon, Horn of Heaven. They weren't really necessary. Anti-Raigeki was an original print. This is not a reprint. So that was nice, but again, it's not a very good card. These are all reprints from other TPs, and then you got some like LOB and MRD reprints here. The Pot of Greed was a good reprint because at the time you could still run it, and I think that was the only other Pot of Greed was from LOB, so it was good to get another Pot of Greed out there. There might have been a starter deck one by that time too. A little Chimera and Bladefly, and then TP4. So TP4 introduced Royal Decree, which was the Jinzo for trap cards. It negates all other trap cards. So pretty useful card, very good in a side deck against burn decks because burn decks tend to be trap heavy. And since you could only run one Jinzo, it was very useful to have one of these. Again, about a $50 to $60 card for that guy back in those days. I think it's a little more now, just because of the collectability. They did make Morphin Jar a little more available as a super rare, but again, even at this time, it was a good card, but it wasn't a great card, so many people didn't even bother using it until like the GOAT format era. That's when it became more of a staple as the game became more strategic. And then you've just got more reprints. So again, I didn't really like that they did all these reprints because I didn't feel like they were necessary. They could have either reprinted good stuff or put in more original cards. But in TP5, they kind of went with the same thing again with the reprints. This one was the first set to have a really bad ultra rare in terms of playability. Luminous Soldier, it looks cool. It's a cool looking card, but its effect is pretty awful and you would never want to use that in a duel. It's so situational, and even when the situation arises, it's just not a great card. But Magical Thorn was an original, and then Big Shield Gardener came out right around the time the Big Shield Gardener came out from Dark Beginning 1. I don't remember which one came first. I want to say they were within a month or two of each other, so I guess you could still kind of consider that as an original print. But I think the Dark Beginning 1 was first, just barely. Needleworm reprint, pretty cool. Luster Dragon reprint, didn't really need it, but it was cool. And then, some more TP, and then you got like Labyrinth of Nightmare and Pharaonic Guardian reprints here. Moving into TP6. TP6, that was a pretty good TP. I think it was really nice that they released Toon Table of Contents after such a long time. I mean, this was something that I think we wanted when Toon World came out back in Magic Ruler. So it was unfortunate they didn't release it back then. I don't know, maybe it wasn't in the OCG. I'm not sure when this first came out in the OCG. But it was nice to finally have this in the TCG. Fusion Sage, really cool card, but it just wasn't that great because people weren't really doing fusions until like later on. Or using polymerization and then two monsters either from your hand or on your field or whatever, it uses a lot of resources for a monster that's generally not that great. Made Royal Decree a lot more obtainable for those who were looking to side against burn. And then Toon Cannon Soldiers, it's a very cool card. I love it. Love the artwork on that guy. Pretty useful too in a Toon deck. Got some reprints of some Legacy Darkness, and then they did throw in some original print, old school looking, really terrible vanillas, so that makes me happy. That always makes me happy. Bad vanillas always make me happy. And then TP7. So TP7 introduced DD Warrior, and that could have been a good card if that came out maybe in like Metal Raiders or Magic Ruler or something, but DD Warrior Lady came out in Dark Crisis, which was way better than this card. So by the time this came out, it was like kind of meh. Just not, nobody really wanted to use it. Not even in a warrior deck. You might run one in a warrior deck. But it's just not a great card. Warrior Elimination is really cool. Not great for dueling, but very cool card. Fortress Whale, cannot not mention Fortress Whale because this has always been one of those collector's favorites. I don't really know why, maybe because Mako Tsunami, Legendary Fisherman kind of thing going on. But I don't know, I was never crazy about this card. I just picked up, this is my only copy just to complete the set. That's solely why I have it. I was never crazy about Fortress Whale. This breaker is usually considered the max rarity breaker, the Magical Warrior in the TCG. So you see this a lot in max rarity GOAT decks, and because of that, this price has gone up. It's a pretty expensive card. So it was weird that they put Last Will. This came out in like starter deck Yugi, I think, or maybe starter deck Kaiba. It was one of the first starter decks. And it was a pretty useful card. It eventually ended up getting banned. It's still banned today. But it was just weird that they printed it in TP7. I thought that was very odd. Same with Wall of Illusion. That was another, I think that was SDY. So really strange with that. And then that was SDY as well. Magician's Force reprints, those were actually good reprints. Fortress Whale's Oath. And then again, as in with TP6, you got these awesome bad vanillas, 3 there and then 2 here. So kind of the same theme as the previous tournament pack. And then TP8, this is the last TP that was released. They moved on to Champion Pack after this, and I do not collect Champion Pack. It's cool. I don't have anything inherently against it. It's just I was kind of done playing at that point. So Magical Arm Shield, really cool card from the anime. I was, again, surprised it took so long for them to release that in the TCG. I love this artwork of Harpy's Feather Duster because it's the one they used in the anime, so pretty awesome card. These have gone up a lot in price too. Again, it's a very rare card. You can't find them, and when you do, people are asking an arm and a leg. It's pretty crazy. Dunamis Dark Witch, Slate Warrior, and then the Garma Sword is another one of those. It's similar to Fortress Whale, not quite as much, but it's just one of those collectible cards. It's not, you can't really use it in a duel. I mean, you can, but it's not good. And then I love how they reprinted the Monarchs. I think that's pretty cool. At the time, I think they were only super rares. Those were the only reprints, or the only original prints. Berserk Gorilla, and then you get some cool old school vanilla monsters. So always love that. And then those last 2, that's Secretarian of Secrets, sorry. And then the Necrolancer of the Time Lord. Pretty creepy looking card. And then moving on to the final thing in here, which is the McDonald's pack. This is such a seriously nostalgic pack for me. This was like during the height of Yu-Gi-Oh! Like I think MRL, PSV era. And I just remember loving this set. Again, crappy vanillas. Nothing in here was very great or playable. But man, I really enjoyed opening those McDonald's packs and trying to get some of these cards. So it was weird. I think they did 3 super rares and then 2 ultras. So the ultras are Cosmo Queen and Millennium Shield. I don't know what the odds of pulling them are, but they're not crazy hard to pull. But these are getting expensive as well because people are reconnecting with their childhood and wanting those cards that they sought after when they were kids at McDonald's. You got Frog the Jam. This card's name got changed to, I think, Slime Toad or something. Because they don't want it to be part of the frog archetype. Kind of weird. And then there it is, the end of it. McDonald's pack 1. Flying Penguin's a pretty cool card. I think that's the most expensive of all the commons. And then the super rares are actually pretty cheap still. It's just these guys are getting a little more expensive because, again, people like the cards that they saw as a kid. So that's going to be the video, guys. I hope you all enjoyed it. Thank you to everybody who walked down these trips to memory lane with me. There's so many memories in all of these sets, not just these TP sets, but in, you know, Legend of Blue Eyes, Metal Raiders, all the way through Ancient Sanctuary. So I really appreciate all the feedback I've gotten from going through these sets, talking about them a lot, and just enjoying them with you guys. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you all enjoyed it. I will have some opening videos soon. I know it's been forever since I've opened anything, but those will be coming soon. So again, thanks for watching, and as always, stay tuned for more awesome Yu-Gi-Oh videos.